This is where we
This is the best part of the show.
where we do drugs. What is this thing?
Welcome to Hashtag Set Live.
Welcome, everybody. This is our season 2 opening of Hashtag Set Life. Oh, man, I missed the sound of that.
How was that for you, Corey?
What is that thing?
This is Stylophone, the David Bowie edition.
Yeah, I was tingling. I'm not gonna lie.
I love it, man.
So that made me feel some things.
It's been a while. I've missed it.
Yeah, it's a great way to just like open your ears. we're getting the
one layer of my musicianship.
It's one away.
Welcome everybody to Hashtag Set Life, the show where we discuss life on set. And today we have with us Cory James Taylor, who I have worked with in multiple capacities. Cory, tell us right now what your preferred title or job image is.
Oh man, that's kind of hard. Right now, mostly known for my work as a director of photography, also a creative producer. Working into the space of directing a little bit more, but really just, content creation, which is a weird kind of place for me to be considering where I started. So
tell us a little bit about like the start of getting you into the industry.
Let's see, it's 2013, and I had just bought a Samsung Galaxy, like the first 8 megapixel smartphone, and I just started taking like band photos and posting them on Facebook, you know what I mean? And they loved it. And then eventually I got a Nikon 3100, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to take some more photos. And then I got like a 50 millimeter lens that somebody just like, hey, try this, because he was another Nikon
50, baby.
And I put it on video mode, and I'm telling you what, I made a music video, and like the next day I was like, I'm going to do nothing else for the rest of my life. I'm just going to do this, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I got started. I was in a paramedic program, one of the most prestigious paramedic programs in the world. So one of the few places that would give you a bachelor's level degree in emergency medicine. It was like there and Australia were the two best, because it was built for long transports at the time. So rural areas where you would be in and out of service for 2 to 3 hours, and you would have to make decisions. So I was like, you know what? I've spent 3.5 years doing this, but I want to do this.
Yeah.
And the rest is kind of history.
Joe and I started in music as well. We had both wanted to work in media for a very long time. For me, in high school, the very first college I toured was Indiana University, Bloomington, and I thought I wanted to do music production. And I was never a musician, but being the guy behind the board sounded like a lot of fun, like a way to be involved in music without playing music.
That's cool, yeah.
And but I fell in love. I was a late teen before I really I loved movies, but before I really saw it as like a way that someone could live their life. But when it was around 2014 for us, and I had a Canon Rebel, and I didn't care about photo mode. It was more about video mode for me.
T3i, baby.
But yeah, we went in, and with one camera, would take turns shooting and just kind of pitched ourselves. And music's a rough go, because there's
started making
not
some
a lot
money.
of
not a lot.
There's not a lot of money in music from the musicians, so the musicians don't really have a lot of money to share with you.
That all goes through the gear. Right?
Did you kind of find that to be a similar experience?
Oh, I mean, I don't think I've still made money off of a music video. It's always like whenever I get a music video, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
This will be fun.
Well, as far as exactly, I can create this. I mean, from a director of photography, but from a lighting standpoint, I've done music videos for Eminem, Big Sean. I've done music videos for I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking a little bit. Janelle Monáe, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I've gotten to make some money from it, but I never got to actually, as a director of photography, kind of make, because it's for a producer. It's like, I just did it because this is something I wanted to do, and I get to do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like you have a camera, but like if you don't have friends who want to act, a script, and blah, 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 music is a great way to just tell a story with people who are doing things already anyways. And so you're just kind of sharing in participation on what you can offer while they play what they do.
Right.
And, it kind of gives you a chance to merge the arts. From there, was there a point where you started to take it more seriously, or was it like where did it become a career for you?
Oh, I mean, I think the minute I gave up a career, which, was a solid career, like, you know what I mean, to be like in that program alone, like would have guaranteed you that you could have been one of the highest paid, paramedics. And then you could have went in to do like mountain medicine. You could have been on the helicopters, which was my goal, you know what I mean? So it'd be like the and then I just decided, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So I just started taking every opportunity. I went to film school at Mott. I bought a camera and I just shot as much as I could. You know what I mean? If somebody had something, I was like, I'll shoot it. And then I eventually got a internship with Stephen Smith, who still is a lifelong friend. He's one of my probably biggest mentors and one of my biggest influences. But he got me on a set, and then I met Brian Kimball and Jeff Urbanowitz, just being a dirty grip. You know what I mean? Like I was a military man, so I got along.
GE for life.
Man, I'm telling you what. But like it was kind of the best thing that ever happened because these guys were Local 38, and they got me on bigger projects. So I really got to skip a lot of the production assistant and just went straight into lighting. And I really just fell in so hard with the lighting. Like I loved it. It was very physical, you know what I mean? It was very technical.
It keeps you young.
Oh, it does. And you're always moving.
It's a tactile way to really be involved with what ends up on screen.
Yeah, and it reminded me a lot of like, the hardships of the military, you know what I mean? Like it's like, well, everybody else is nice and warm inside. Like you're basically outside in the elements, you're in the dirt, you're doing the things. And so it was a very familiar environment for me when I first started. But it was also a very like, I could actually see my work, you know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of times
it's nitty gritty, but it's also tactile, and there's literal science behind it. And the fact that you can, like you're saying, see exactly what, like move it this way, and you see the difference, and you start learning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was like I said, fortunate enough to be just trained by like some of the best, like under like an apprenticeship style where they would like teach me things. Because they knew that, like, I was basically a PA, but I was gripping because they didn't have the budget for
a
all
departmental
the other people.
PA.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I just kept just going into it, and I loved it, you know what I mean? From the physical aspect to, seeing what light does when you flood the light versus, what is a rake versus what is a push-in, you know what I mean?
Right.
Pan left, pan right, you know what I mean? I just really just dug it, you know what I mean? And thankfully, I've always been kind of a little bit of a tough guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, the hard labor didn't bother me at all, and I didn't have to get Vivica Fox fried chicken. That is a true story. Literally. So it was a thing. Like, I remember going on set as my first job as like a PA, and I'm like, every day the producer and director had this thing with this Middle Eastern. So for like every day we would eat Middle Eastern food every single day. And Vivica Fox was like, I want some motherfucking chicken. You know what I mean?
I can't do this again.
And so I go into one of the chicken places down in Detroit, and I'm like, hey, I need fried chicken, and it better be your best because it's for Vivica Fox. And then they looked at me kind of like, I was like, listen to me. For Vivica Fox. But I mean, honest, I ever since then, it just kind of lighting's, even now, it's still just, I think, one of my favorite things. You know what I mean? It's just something special about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think finding one of the elements in film that you really, really enjoy, regardless of whether it's light or, I mean, even for some people, it could be the logistics. You could be a logistical minded person. There's a spot for you on set. You don't have to be an artist, but that's what keeps you coming back to set. If you don't genuinely love what you're offering on set, then I don't think you'll get as much enjoyment as it sounds like you have. Yeah. Like I know I have, and what I know Joe has on set.
I love lighting so much, and I love the fact that every time I get on a new set, I get to learn somebody else's opinion on how they think something should look, which teaches me a new a perspective on lighting.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because the look is light.
You mentioned something. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Perfect timing.
You mentioned something that I kind of wanted to spend a little bit of time on because I don't really think we've covered it a whole lot. But you had mentioned, I believe it was Steve Smith as a mentor specifically. Mm-hmm. How did that affect you having a mentor, and how do you? Is it something that you would recommend? You know, if you could find a person out there that.
Yeah, because I've never had a mentor.
It's hard because when you say go find a mentor, now what you're asking is for someone else to commit some time into your growth. But I do believe there are enough of us out here that want to share, that when we have the knowledge, we are more than willing to share it. So what are your thoughts on mentorship?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing that I think it gets lost about films is like, film is like one of the last American apprenticeships. You know what I mean? It really is. You know what I mean? Like the only way that you could get on set back in the day is because you knew somebody and that person took you under your wing. The same as like a blacksmith, the same as like an electrician back in the day.
Right.
The only way you learned your craft was with someone saying like, hey, I will give you my time and you better learn and you're going to make me better and I'm going to make you better. You know what I mean? So I think it's like, it's still inbred into it is inbred into this. This is one of America's last, the world's now, but it started in America, but it's one of our last great apprenticeships that we have. You know what I mean? Like you would learn under masters. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, when things like were more important. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to you earlier, like. You would have a Budweiser commercial and it would go for 2-3 years and they would spend millions of dollars on it. You would spend months on this set. You know what I mean? And so
now it's the same amount of money, but it lasts for 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, it's cheaper, it's less, but it lasts for 2 or 3 weeks, but you had to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And so to get to that set as a starter, you had to work under that guy who they're like, I'm going to spend $1 million on this project. That guy is the man that's going to make this worth $1 million. You know what I mean? So like, and I feel like nowadays we don't really get that as much because it's like, this is like a $10,000 thing that's going to last for 2 to 3 weeks. It's for a major brand. And you know what I mean? It's just something that you don't, I feel, get as much as you used to. But back then, that was your way in. And back then, there was only 5 or 6 people doing it. So if you pissed off that 5 or 6 people doing it, you are no longer in the film industry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's...
And I would argue, even as large as the film industry is now, I've definitely learned in all of my years, and this is outside of just film.
It's smaller than you think.
This world is small. You will always run into someone that you didn't think you'd ever run into again. And burning bridges is not at all recommended in this industry because people talk. There is numerous examples of people who were trained by someone who was great that years later hires them because they've moved up. And now they're producing, but they remember you and bring you on. Like the circle never ends as far as your impression and the footprint you leave.
I treat every PA the same as I treat every producer and executive producer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because you never know when that person's calling you because they loved working with you and now they're hiring people.
Well, that's too. And that's the thing. It's like when you talk about, like you watch all these like behind the scenes stuff, it's like, a lot of times it's like, I had no idea how to do this, so I called this guy. A lot of times they'll just give you that information for free because one, they want to share because somebody shared with them how to do it. You know what I mean? And I think that's a huge thing that we take for granted, you know what I mean, in this day and age, you know, because we've got so much content on YouTube teaching how to do lights, but it's like they transformed my career and I got to see things that when I was only 2 or 3 years deep that like I don't think you would have seen until you're like year 10 or 12 or far beyond. You know what I mean? For me, only doing it for 3 years, but to be first set electrician on Transformers for 3 months, that's insane. Huge. And then from there, once I got off there, it's like I knew how to operate any light. And if I didn't know how to operate it, I knew enough to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I could take that skill and I could go anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? Because it was a certain standard that had been passed down through the film industry for a century.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, you know, there's always innovation in this thing and people are trying to do it different, but there's also
a standard.
Well, there's a standard. There is a way. It's like, we've been doing this for 100 years because it works. You know what I mean? And the odds that you actually know something that these people haven't is very small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to find that thing of like, do I have this something special? Do I have this new unique way? Or do I just don't fully understand the depth of this and I should listen? And you know what I mean? And then too, it's like giving people their dues. They earn this spot. So it's like, yeah, you might not adjust with the way they do that lighting, but 1, they're in that position. 2, this is their vision. 3, this is the best way they know how. This is their expression of that. And your job is to help them out.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that it's like you can't always reinvent the wheel. You know, you've got 100 years, a century of knowledge and experience that has worked and made billions of dollars collectively throughout all of history. But at the same time, if equally someone doesn't take the rules that they already know, I feel like that's an important part of this, the rules that you already know, and then step outside of them with a little bit of experimentation, we'll never discover anything new. And I think that's one of the other things that's incredibly fun on set when you're like, it's because it's problem solving, right? Yeah. You can have in your mind at the start of a day exactly how you want or how you saw this scene when you read it in the script. But then you show up, you're seeing the location, you're like, okay, this isn't as I envision, especially in the independent, you know, low budget market. Oftentimes, you know, and we've spoken about this before, we don't get the opportunity for pre-production to where maybe we can see a location in a scout. I always advocate for scouts, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So
well, 90% of the time I don't get a scout.
But the downside to that is then you are now seeing for the first time the canvas that's in front of you. And if you don't have that some percentage of that 100 years of knowledge, you don't know where to start.
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's like, yeah, I like that you brought up percentages because like I always tell people when I try and talk to clients, like I've moved into director of photography and producing more, I'm just like, you could probably get away with that, but your chances of success 70% versus 90%, 95%. Right. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like we're shooting so much, like your percentages are kind of, you know, the technology is there. Like, I mean, we used to show up with 5 people for like a small little thing. Now it's me, a director of photography, maybe an AC, you know what I mean? Doing the same thing, creating somewhat of the same level enough, like, but 70% of what that is, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you know, you could, but here's the thing. It's like, what's going to really save you that time is knowing where your parking is, because I guarantee you, you're going to spend hours of your time. So if you've got a $10,000 day, it's 10 hours a day, and you have spent 30 minutes to an hour just messing around, you've literally just cost yourself $1,000.
That's parking.
Yeah. Just getting your
pay
people
for parking.
In. Yeah. Well, yeah, pay for parking.
Oh,
do the tech
because it ain't going to cost $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But that's the thing.
Well, and it's not just that. Like once because it just compiles. Once you've gotten everybody parked and onto set, is there a location for them to stage things? Is there compartmentalized places for people to go?
The standard,
or are you making that decision now? Like this is
the standard 60 to 90 minutes of before call to picture up is now all parking and let me see get eyes on something rather than this is what we need for the first shot out of the truck first. That's why it was loaded last, you know.
Yeah.
Organized like army ants, baby.
Yeah, that's and that's good math because you know if camera up is set for an hour and a half after general call time and you've bled most of that into getting people there and organized, you're now technically 3 hours behind before you start.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now you have to rush everything. You know what I mean? Now you make mistakes. Now you're changing your script on the fly. Now the things that you've literally probably spent weeks and months planning over are now completely different. And now you literally just have to play catch up and you have to use your brain, you know what I mean, to do something that, you know, if you just would have spent a little extra time.
Bite the bullet and give the department heads a half a day.
Yeah. And two, like you'll save yourself on post, you know what I mean?
Location.
100%.
Because then you had a thing. This is the thing. This is the thing. I'm going to know how this is going to cut. This is going to move here. This is going to do there. And then you spend all this time, 3 hours you've wasted, you know, because you didn't want to have a tech scout. You know what I mean? Even with your DP, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's absolutely kind of insane to think about. And then now you're in post, and now this thing is taking, editors are expensive, $100 an hour.
Yeah.
So now you've cost this editor 10 to 20 hours of just messing around with your footage
Yes.
at $100 an hour. You've spent, so you could have had that whole tech scout. You could have had, you know, your AD, you could have had your director, you could have had the producer
All
who's
the
a client,
department heads,
who's probably guaranteed their salary.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, you know, even if you don't need a gaffer, at least have a DP to be like, hey, this is what we need. This is what we need.
Yes. Someone to have a plan. So when you arrive, you just go to it.
Yeah. But even to Joe's thing, it's like, yeah, having a gaffer, it's like, because there's a lot of people now that like.
Well, while you guys are talking creative, I'm going around, I'm assessing the practical. Like, where are my outlets? Where's the power? Where are my
How
exits?
much power do we have?
Yes.
Yeah. And
all that.
And that's the thing. It's like with me, it's like I'm okay to go do a tech scout because I spent 10 years in G&E. But a lot of people came from camera and they don't pay attention to that.
But you as cameras, as DP, should be focused with the director and the producer and the client.
Yeah.
I should be off and coming back and checking in with you
Yeah,
guys.
like, hey, we don't have enough power here. We need to grab a generator.
Right.
We need to be running batteries. We need to be doing this.
As an AD on a location,
You know how to handle that information, but you shouldn't be dealing with it as a DP.
And I think that's a thing that like I'm still learning as I transition into this role is that like there's some things that I still like, oh, I do this, and this. That's my job. Like that's not your job. Like that's your friends that you hired job.
I have no problem telling you, yeah, Cory, that's why I'm here. Go do your job.
Yeah.
Where's my frame? I know you've told me the lights. Show me the frame.
That's another thing we can talk about later for sure. Hey guys, if you're listening, it's called Block
Light Shoot.
BLS, baby. BLS.
So
BLS is SOP.
Yeah, absolutely. Standard operating procedure, if you guys didn't know that. But I mean, honestly, like even those little things, like those little adages, like it really will save you time because like there's so many times where we'll take an hour to light and like, I think this is the scene. And then the director brings in blocking and it's like, I fucked this completely up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you try to tell them, if you could just walk this way, and they're like, well, that's not the motivation. Like,
yeah.
Well, and that's part of that collaborative dance. But these are things that like this idea that just send the G&E and the DP in there, set your camera up, and start lighting and whatever. And now that's just interpretive because all you have is the script. And I'll ask as an AD, I ask,
can
I'm like,
fuck around with possibilities of lighting all goddamn day. Tell me what I need to light.
I get the fight like, oh, okay, well, they need to go to the makeup. They need to go to the wardrobe. I was like, that's cool. You'll have time for that. Let them walk it out. Then
everybody's sitting on their ass
DP,
for 90 minutes.
The gaffer can see where and what, and then they can work while you guys go in there. And now the actor actually has an opportunity to think about things that they've walked through. Like it literally benefits
now
everyone.
They have the muscle memory, literally everyone.
Yeah, exactly. They have the imprint of like, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to do. So while they're getting makeup, they're like, okay, what if I played it like this? What if I did this? You know
exactly.
What I mean? So
and to further that point, that's what a tech scout does for someone like me, a creative mind. I go in there, I get the ins and outs of it, and until we get there, my mind's goes, oh, we can put this here, we can put that there. They talked about this, we can do this. So now I've already gone through the possibilities because I know the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done 2 days worth of work in my head rather than the 30 minutes you're like, now.
Yeah.
What's your approach when it comes to the close of a project and you've had, opportunities as it were, things either went well or they went poorly or they went somewhere in between? Do you have a process of self-evaluation for moving on to the next project?
Oh, I mean, to moving on to the next project, I mean, it's an interesting way to bring it up, but I think I am of the mindset that like I will not always be the best DP as far as looks, but I will be the best leader on that set. So if anything went wrong, it is my fault. You know what I mean? Like I don't care what happens on that set. If somebody who's brand new and just got hired because we couldn't afford somebody to drop to light, that's on me. You know what I mean? So like to me, it's like whenever something happens, it is 100% my fault. You know what I mean? So I always take it's like, okay, cool. What could I have done? Did I get too snippy with somebody? Did I not, make sure that this light was set up the right way? Did I, double press a thing? What can I do? You know what I mean? Like sometimes, like, every now and again, you'll double tap something. You're like, okay, cool. What could I have done? It's easy to say, well, they didn't call fucking roll cameras. You know what I mean? Because you're in the zone. You're like, no, it's like, no, you should double check, verify. You know what I mean? Even just like these little simple things, it's like, I'm a military guy. So it's like, it's always on me. If I'm the leader, it doesn't matter what happened, what's wrong. As far if it is in my world to control, then it's my fault if it doesn't get there. And then it's always like, what are the things that I could have done better? You see it and you're like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this. What was I trying to achieve? But yeah, I mean, I think that's always just like self-evaluating like your work. You know what I mean? You can always get better. You know what I mean? I always tell people it's like the minute you stop getting better, that's when you start dying, in life. So.
Yeah. I look at people like Werner Herzog, who is, I think, 90-something years old, still out there. And I think it's remarkable because growing up, you didn't think about getting a career that would take you into old age and out. But what I think is remarkable about that is this is the type of career where you might actually be motivated still to being better than you were yesterday, that here you are at 95, 96 years old, still trying to achieve that for whatever.
It's that old adage, get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're truly like, because if you're a filmmaker, like, sure, you can get lucky and like find your way into money, but it's not for the money. That's not why you start doing something like this. And are we able to create a living out of it? Sure. But that's still not why we do this. Right. So it gives us life. It gives us purpose. It gives us a spark. So that's our get busy living.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it, you might as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always say like, how I want to die is I want to fucking get like this perfect shot, wrap the film, and then fucking call cut. And I fucking have a heart attack right there. You know what I mean? Like
all right, that's a wrap, everybody.
All right, that's a wrap. Let's move this guy clean up.
Real quick, let's wrap Cory out.
At least give me the favor of you calling rap and giving me a cheers.
Oh yeah.
Before 100%. You
right
with my red thunder.
choke on the red thunder.
I will still be drinking this well into my.
I'll be happy to be able to go. At least we drank to his death.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's like I tell people, you know what I mean. Like as I continue to move up and continue to have more people under me and more people that rely on me and more people that I'm feeding as far as, monetarily or getting them jobs or hanging out with. It's like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. So I want to choose people that I want to be with for the rest of my life. I want to invest in people. You know what I mean? Like, I think people are the most important thing on set. You know what I mean? And so as I
attitude is infectious.
Yeah. Well, and as I've been, I want to give the best, and I would never ask something of them that I would not do. And if they don't want to do it, I'm going to go grab it and I'm going to do it myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'm never going to be that DP like, hey, can you go move this 3,000 feet for the second time? I'm so sorry. I apologize. And if they're like, no, I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to go do it. I'm sorry. I apologize. But
he'll do it too. I told him no once. Just once.
But and I think that's just like, like a very military thing. You know what I mean? Like first one to touch the ground, last one to touch the ground. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just something that I believe in, you know what I mean? Leadership, being that person that, I'm going to have bad days just like everybody else. But if I say something that I probably shouldn't have, I'm going to be the first one to tell you publicly in front of everybody that like, hey, I'm sorry. I got upset. That's my mistake.
No, he did. That's exactly how it went down. He was like, Joe, move that over there. I said, Cory, if I move that over there again, it's not coming back over here. And he goes, you were right. It needs to go back over there. And I was like, you fucking do it. And he did.
I do. That's the thing. I don't know how many DPs will grab a mambo combo with a full stick, 3 bags, and just move it. Like,
to be fair, since he walked over, I did wrangle cable for him. Like I didn't just walk off or anything.
Again, that benefits everyone.
I think that was one of our first real spiffs, and one of the times we really grew as like creators together, like knowing each other's limits.
Being able to handle on-set conflict is another thing that I find to be very important, because if you get petty, you should just go home.
Yeah, no, we were laughing about it in the moment too.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not making accusations.
No, of course not.
Joe, you son of a bitch.
All right, we're back. I just had to peel Cory off of Joe, but they're good. No blood loss.
No.
Do you? I'm gonna phrase it this way because I want to be non-presumptuous. But are there any avenues that you take on your own time to grow the skill or knowledge that you need for being on set?
Oh, I mean, God, I must, like, almost every day I'm probably watching something about film. I'm looking up some new research about gear. I'm looking up, you know what I mean, how they did that. One of my biggest, like, ASC magazine, I read it from front to back every time. And it's not just about, like, you know, why they did the things, but it's like how they did the things, you know what I mean? How the production moved, how this did, why they implemented this technology, why they used this camera. You know what I mean? There's probably not a moment of my day where I'm not thinking about how to get better. And it's probably not the healthiest thing, you know what I mean? My girlfriend sometimes is like, what are you thinking about now? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Or I'm watching a film, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I could have done this a little bit better, you know what I mean? Here and there. Like,
that was a really good idea. I should try that.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
why didn't I think of it then?
Well, and I think that's too, even though I do these, you know, like I'm a director of photography and producer. I still cam up. I still go and do, you know, grip work. I still go out and do lighting, because it's like, what is that motherfucker doing? You know what I mean? Like, what is he doing? Like, what's different about that? You know what I mean? And so a lot of times I'll take jobs where it's like, I feel like I'm going to learn something, even if I don't get the best pay rate.
Yes. That's like, actually a factor for me. Am I going to meet someone new? Am I going to learn something new? Yeah. Is this an opportunity for try something that I've yet to have the opportunity to do? If that's an opportunity, like, that's secondary. Pay is secondary to that experience.
Well, and two, it's like, yeah, you're getting paid to learn. You know what I mean? I think like a lot of that times there are people who come like, I know it's below you, but like, can you come out for this and do this? And I know you're a director of photography, and but it would just really benefit if you did this. And I'm like, oh yeah, 100%, because you want to play with this toy, or you want to play with this, or you want to move.
We're renting this thing. Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
I have not had a chance. Like, for me, it was a nice experience. The commercial we worked on a few weeks back for the wedding shop, and I had not had a chance to play with the new Aperture 1200. Yeah. And what is that one you have? Yeah. You know, it's not the C, is it?
No, it's the X.
The 1200X. Yeah.
But the design of that.
It's the new Blair engine. Yeah.
Man.
I've been raving about it
from the way that the Bones mount is set with the locking mechanism.
Yeah, the new aperture lock. Yeah.
I loved the way that I was able to pack it away differently. Like, just everything about it was an experience that I was like, had not, because I've been working with the same equipment from the same trucks, that like, this was nice. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's not a huge difference because I'm in the same line, but now I had an opportunity. So now I know what it can do a little bit, and I know what else is different that's out there. And having those chances to do it, working with Ish, who works pretty much with Ari lights. Yeah. I rarely get the opportunity to work with Ari lights. So like to be able to work with some of those other lights, the what was it, the Orbiter and
the Orbiter and the Sky Panel.
Loved it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's just what it is, you know what I mean? Like, just getting to learn, like when I was on Beverly Hills Cop, like, they were using Vortex 9 panels in a way that I didn't even think. Like, I'm literally probably like 300-400 feet away. I've got 9 different RE360 panels, and then I've got in between them 2 different Vortex 9 panels. And those are the ones that are actually doing the majority of the work. You know what I mean? So you're thinking
those Vortex 9 panels, those are the plasma lights, right?
The cream source, yeah. Yeah. Well, they're not. No, I don't think they're plasma. They're LED, but the way that the diodes are.
They used to be plasma, like back originally before LED got hot.
I think so. Yeah.
I was talking about those on set earlier.
The light panels had some plasma ones back in the day, and I remember those, and like, you know, they were interesting.
They're just so expensive to manufacture that it just kind of the technology kind of phased out.
Yeah,
sure did.
But even like things like that, just getting to be on these bigger sets and learn, like, oh my god, like these guys are throwing just these little tiny lights that I would have never thought could have reached that far. They're like, yeah, it's great. And I'm actually like adjusting them, and the talent's like, 300, 400, 500 feet away. I'm literally on a parking structure in downtown Detroit. And I'm like, is this doing anything? They're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, because to me, it's like, it's only 600 watts, bro. You know what I mean? But it's like, so I think anytime you just get on set and you get to learn, you know what I mean? And I think it's just invaluable. Like I learn something every time I get on set, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I don't learn anything on set, I'm just like, I hope the pay was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I have two goals, to learn something from myself because of something I did or didn't do, or learn something from someone else on set for something they did or didn't do.
Yeah.
Because I think there's positive and negative things that you should learn. Like you should have your eyes open for all the new ways to do something. But then also, I think, especially if you're in a position as you grow up in ranks and you have less responsibilities, like that's what I love about gripping is the times that you can sit back and just watch everything and analyze like, okay, what could have been done differently in this situation by any number of roles that would have benefited from something else, and what could have gone differently. Yeah. And I'll that's my ride home is, focusing on one of these incidences of positivity or negativity that I can turn into a positive because it's a lesson that I can take away from this. Like if this comes up again, how would I approach this?
My ride home's usually a fat bull and a punk rock song, but that's where my head is what Brad said.
No, I mean, like I said, I think that's just completely true. Like anytime you can learn something, that's a good day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or learn a different way of doing things. Yeah. Or even just help somebody understand or teach somebody something new.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's so fulfilling to share knowledge. And
it is, especially when somebody's truly enthralled and like really
genuinely wants to know the knowledge. Yeah.
I had, it's always refreshing, but there was a nice young woman today on set who was doing first AC, and she was like watching me like a hawk, everything I did. And I was like, well, if you have any questions, and we had some nice conversations. Yeah. So I got a number. I'll probably call her and have her grip for me sometime.
Yeah. I can't tell you the number of phone numbers that I collect because of somebody's approach like that. Like, oh, what are you interested in? What do you want to learn? And if something comes up, I'll call you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, too, like, one of the things that I make sure that I do is like a mentor came up to me, you know what I mean? So it's like I make sure I'm always like mentoring at least one person, 2 people a year, you know what I mean? Like I always have. And it's led to my buddy Josh Thayer is my business partner, and he's kind of like become my ride or die. But, he was at first. Ryan Grant was another guy. He was my intern.
No
when
kidding.
I first started, you know what I mean? So to see him grow, you know what I mean? It's kind of been phenomenal to bring that back to people. But yeah, I mean, I think giving it back, you know what I mean? Everyone's like, some people are like, oh, it's free labor. It's like, no, dude, do you understand like what I'm giving them? Do you understand how much money they would have to pay to get this? Do you understand like the years, the hours? Like I have put more than 10,000 hours into this craft, you know what I mean? And I'm teaching them. I'm not saying, hey, go move this there. Hey, go grab that sandbag. It's like, hey, this is why you do this. This is what a spot it means. This is what a flood means. This is 100%. What happens, you know what I mean? Like, this is why we send the sail up, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because you got a small source and then you make it into a bigger source. That bigger source is going to provide more wrap. It's going to provide a deeper quality of light. The reason why the sun is so high, even though it's huge, it's so tiny in the sky. And that's why whenever you see sunlight, it's super harsh. So you take something that looks like a dot up in the sky, and then you make it 4x4 right in front of a person. It's going to spread that way. The reason you do that, you know what I mean?
Pores will melt away.
Yeah. And honestly, not everybody in your position is like that.
That's right, ladies. So, it's not the makeup. It's the lighting.
So, yeah. That's why Clint Eastwood squints.
Yeah.
The importance of sharing that information. So if you are on set, if you are more green, and even if you're not, honestly, anybody, if something is witnessed and you aren't fully aware of why, I love asking. Like, ask someone. If someone,
never be afraid.
If someone like Cory is not, someone there for you, and it's someone who's just, like I'll use Joe as an example.
Find your time. Don't do it when they're busy, hands full. But
yeah, Joe is very particular, like, oh, this, and this. He is someone that you come back to later, like, hey, earlier you asked me to do this, and this. Why? And with Joe, that's the perfect time for why.
Yeah.
And
if you ask me why am I doing this after I gave you command, like I'm already doing 4 other things. You need to march.
Yeah.
But if you want to know the real reasons why, then we can have that conversation, but not when we're you know.
Right.
Sometimes the moment is like, hey,
G&E is hurry up and wait.
I will tell you later.
Yeah.
But right now it's like people are dying here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you elevate. That's how you get the big bucks. That's how you make the big clients happy.
Yeah, 100%. You have to have the hustle. You have to have that hurry up and wait. You have to. And during that wait is when you ask.
That's right. Like I had today, the wardrobe comes up to me asking for a stinger. I had like 4 things in my hands. I'm like moving 2 600s on one stand behind an 8x. I'm doing that. And I'm like, well, there's a plug right there. If that's not enough, give me a minute. Right. And she just walked away and resigned herself. And I came over to her like 90 seconds later when I had, set the shit down and went, okay, that's done. Lighting's good. Okay. What did you need? What's it for? A steamer? Oh, yeah, that needs its own circuit. Okay, I'll be right back. And, it was resolved in under 5 minutes.
Right.
But
also
it was the wrong time.
Yeah,
I had no grips. It's just me.
Do you see all this man holding all this light? Go away right now.
Count to 10. I'll be right with you.
I think that's another thing to talk about too, is like situational awareness. I think that to me, like being open.
She did apologize. She was like, "You're right. That was the wrong time, and you've been very polite. Thank you. I'm so sorry." Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, thank you for acknowledging that. I was just busy. I wasn't trying to be rude." Yeah. We laughed about it.
Situational awareness, I think, is one of the most things. Being as helpful as possible, but not too helpful, because like there's the people that are like, "Can I get you anything? Can I get you anything? Can I get you anything?" He's like, "You can get the fuck away from me right now. I'm sorry. I'm busy. I'm doing a million things."
Yes, but there's too much energy coming from your direction to my direction.
Yeah. Is there anything else you need? What are you thinking? How about you breathe until I need something from you?
Count to 10. Everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know you're super excited to be on there, and we're super excited to have you. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's like sit, breathe, observe, watch people do the thing. See, like my first PA job, like all I did was I had waters, and I had waters and straws, and I would just, water, do you need this? Hey, can I get you anything? And that was my way to quelch my anxiety that I wasn't doing enough, was to constantly be around, you know what I mean? I'd ask everybody, give it 20, 30 minutes.
Yep.
Go around, again. Make the rounds.
And that's important right there. A lot of PAs, because beat this into the ground, PAing is important, but finding the happy medium between being overly, can I help you, as opposed to situationally figuring out like, oh, these people are too fucking busy to come and get their own water. Let me on my own, like, you know what? It's been 15, 20 minutes. Let me grab 8 waters, walk them around. Does anyone need water? I got warm, I got cold. To have that motivation to do it yourself. That's how someone else. That's how someone's gonna. Yeah, but that's how someone's gonna find you and take you out of bringing waters to people. Yeah. Because if they see that you are motivated enough to like, oh damn, dude, yeah, you're right. It is. I didn't want one last time, but I'm glad you're here because it's fucking hot and I'm thirsty and now I'm covered in sweat. It's important.
Vigilance, but not overbearing.
Yeah.
It's a tightrope.
I mean, it is a really hard industry, and I think like everybody who gets into it, I think everybody is always surprised by how much work it actually is, and how much 100%. Patient it is, and how much you really
how sore your feet really are at the end of the day,
and how much you really just have to always be on your game.
Look how you added how much patience it takes.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? Because like patience with yourself, patience with the crew, patience with the moment, patience with these things, you don't know what to do.
So
they don't know what to do.
Going.
Yeah. So to be able to like take a minute, sit back and like, okay, how can I help this? Can I help this at this moment? Or is this time for me to sit back and relax and to see, you know what I mean? Like, what's next for me? What's next for this? I mean, like, you know, like I was on it. I was like, I never stopped moving. I was checking trash, you know what I mean? I was checking people, you know what I mean? I was like, it wasn't my job, you know what I mean? But I was like, organizing crafty, you know what I mean? Like those just little moments mean something, you know what I mean? I wasn't taking photos. I wasn't this. I was just constantly moving because somebody said, hey, if you want to make it here, just keep constantly moving.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then when I had my time, I was going to the G&E guys because like, hey, what's that thing do?
Yeah. Right.
Because
there is a moment to socialize and a moment to learn and to ask.
Because you would say it's
your work ethic needs to be above that because we're all there. We all want to talk to each other.
You are always selling yourself.
I would love to stand around for 12 hours a day and just chew the shit with this man. But when we're getting paid to do a job, we might talk 20 minutes in the day of real conversation.
Yeah.
Everything else is just work.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for me at least, I want to catch up. I want to know about your lives. I want to do this. I'm going to try and get you at lunch if I can. But at the same time, it's like, hey, how's it going? Everything's going good? All right, bye. You know what I mean? Like,
so that's I love set conversations. Set conversation. If you, in order to like genuinely hold a conversation,
proper walkies, because you could just be like,
to hold a whole conversation takes a whole day because you can come back when you have that moment. You're back at the camera cart, you're building something, you're talking, and then you get called away. When you're called away, you don't finish what you're saying. You don't even finish the sentence. You literally drop what you're doing and then return to what you're supposed to be doing. And then lunch comes and you can pick that. I have picked up so many conversations, like I was saying, and that's just the way.
Yeah.
It is just like nobody's going to be offended that you walked away. They may not even have the same channel in their ear that you have. And you literally just, I'm sorry. And you go, you don't question it. They weren't being rude. They were called. Some shit needs to be done.
They're calling me.
It's literally just like, hey, and everybody understands. Like you hand out, it's like, I'm getting information right now. You know what I mean? And it's not a hard thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey.
And I find it fascinating. Like when I first started noticing that, and then quickly picked up on it.
Real life offset.
No,
man, it's so unique that you could then just return back when the time comes. Because hurry up and wait. You've just spent an hour on this setup. Now they're going to shoot several takes. You're at the truck on Firewatch, and you can just pick up where you were at.
So anyway, we were saying about Reagan and the monkey.
Yes, yes. But it's beautiful to me.
His name Bubbles.
You don't really get that. I mean, I haven't worked in every industry in all of existence, but I think it's rare to have to be able to work like that and be able to just on a dime go right to it and
everybody's okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, goodbye. We'll talk to you later.
Set etiquette.
You know what I mean? But I think that's another thing that's a pacing. Like to me, like
it's a lifelong learning curve because everybody's set etiquette is a little different.
Oh, yeah, and then like I think walkie etiquette is another thing we could talk about for days.
Oh
like,
man,
you will not find me like I will get upset.
Please press the button and count to 2 before you talk.
Yes, that. But what I will get upset about the most is when I like, okay, hey, let's move this light there, and I don't hear anything.
Oh, dude.
It will drive. That's
dude,
one
I need
of the
a copy.
only times.
I need a copy.
Yes,
I say
heard.
Yeah. And then and then once it's
world.
done, I need to know, hey, it is done.
Yes.
I feel like nowadays that is probably one of the things that I think gets me the hottest on set, and I feel like it's continually going away.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Confirmation calls.
Confirmation, yeah. It's like, hey, this is there. Would you like to see it? Or, hey, I've done
Copy.
that. Thank you.
Or I always copy. If you say it again, I say on it.
Yep.
So you know who's working on it. Yep. And then when I'm done, I say completed. And then repeat the task that was commanded, right? So that you know what completed 600 up top, second window.
Well, because if not, like I'm going to go to the 40 other things that I have to pay attention to, talking to my director, talking to this, and then the AD comes up to me and it's been 7 minutes because I'm doing everything else, and like, where's that light? We've got people waiting on you. You're like, hey, did that light ever get taken care of? Like, oh yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because like you said, it comes back to you.
Yeah. And it's just like one of the things like the, AD's on my ass and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I did 40 different things. You're doing 40 different things.
Yeah.
And now I've cost, you know what I mean? Us
Do they have that
five,
right? It'd be nice if you could just go, they're waiting for us to tell them if they need to turn it up or down.
Or just say, like 3 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like I think that's always my thing with the AD is like, 20 minutes, you know what I mean? This, you know what I mean? I'm going to try and get you for it in 5, you know what I mean? Like, so I
try to express it at the start of a production because I don't like, it's been my experience. I've worked with some gaffers who like to,
one gaffer
who, I don't want to say overpromise, but like I want to realistically, because if you tell me, if you think you can do it in 15 minutes, but you know that it's probably going to take you 20, 25, tell me 20, 25, because I need to then go and coordinate the rest of what's happening to make that work or to be prepared for it. But if I say everyone, all right, like hair told me 20, but lights is in 10 or whatever, like, can you do this faster? And then they're sitting waiting and it really was going to take you 25. There could have been a better pairing. So I prefer realistic answers. And then I'm like, okay, I see he could probably shave 5 minutes off of that. That would be great.
Oh, yeah.
But now I know realistically where my time parameters are.
Well, and two, like I think as you get more into set, like sometimes it's like when I know that I've been pushing my guys and we've been moving and it's like, it's going to take 20 minutes. It's going to take 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the agent's going to push back like, can you get it done in 15? And you're like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like just so
a little bit of that negotiation.
I can give my guys a little bit of a break, or I can get this. I can reset. I can go take everything that we just had to move 300 yards has to come here, and then I can tidy up that area. I know that I can reset my guys. I know that I can give them the ability to do it correctly. You know what I mean?
And safely.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of overestimating. You know what I mean? At least, you know what I mean? Because then if you get it done in 7, and you're like,
now you're a superhero.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
That's how I prefer it.
And I'm not trying to snake time, but I am like trying to give like a realistic expectation. And then, sometimes I will just say, hey, 20 minutes. And they're like, what? 20 minutes. I know it's going to take 10, but I need to either give my guys a break or you've been messing around and putting people, through the paces 3 or 4 times. And it's like, okay, cool. Yep. Now I'm going to make you pay because you don't understand what you want. So that's okay. We're going to take a little bit of break. My guys,
I'm going to take a breather. You're going to think about it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Sometimes the DPs need that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I need that. And I've had gaffers 100%. Say like, hey, it's going to take us 10 minutes. And I, who have done that 30, 40 times. Yeah. No, it's like, that's a 3-minute move. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm going to go take.
That's my biggest flaw is especially when I have like 2 or 3 guys beneath me. I'm like, well, I'm doing this. I could get the 3 or 4 tasks being done in the same amount of time, 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah. We'll say 5. And then it'll take 20. Yeah. Because I finished the one in the 5, but the other 3 aren't done and I got to go check and somebody's over there talking or... And not always, but sometimes, the thing that I thought would take 5 minutes is harder to do because the ground's on level or the light doesn't fit where it needs to go.
That's where you get
I'm not disagreeing
that buffer
with
in an estimate.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the thing. That's why I always give a buffer because you never know. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just that's a lot of times you are literally taking something in someone's brain. And trying to make it. And they can tell you like, oh, I wanted a little Reiki. And you never know what that means until you're like, that kind of Reiki, that kind of Reiki. You know what I mean? There's like 40 different types of Reiki that he might want. He's like, oh, you know what I mean? And he might not be the best at communicating, or you might not be the best at, understanding about exactly what you want. Because you're literally taking someone's dream, someone's vision, what they see inside of their brain that nobody else can see. No one else can see it the way they see it. You know what I mean? And you're trying to get it as close to possible to what they have in their head. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to just allow that grace.
And most of the people explaining that vision have no technical knowledge.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, the lifelong learning, you know what I mean? Like, always learning what your light does, why light behaves the way it does. You know what I mean? I always say, like, you want to learn to be a good gaffer, play pool. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
The math and the angles. Who was throwing things at me?
It just rolled off the table.
Yeah, I dropped my phone earlier.
Nice.
There's a pink thing right there. Well, we're gonna wrap this up tonight because I know we could end up talking for beautiful. We could talk all night on this and lose ourselves.
Yeah, man.
But
great talk.
Are there any key takeaways that you want to impress upon our listeners from our discussion tonight? We've talked about spending your time learning, either watching what other people are doing, figuring out on set that whether you're watching completed content like movies or watching other professionals on set. We talked a little bit about mentorship and we've talked about communication, but what are some of the key things that you want to impress upon our listeners when it comes to advancing yourself as an artist?
I mean, I think when it comes to advancing yourself as an artist, 1, do your best at all times. 2, know that you're going to fail. 3, understand that the people that have been placed in front of you most often got that place for a reason. And even if you don't agree with their methods, try to do to the best of your ability what they would like, because one day you might be in that position and might be faced with a similar person who's like, oh, I could do it better. You know what I mean? So take that time. Really try and give your all to it. Really try and understand where that human being, that person is coming from, that artist is coming from, and understand that you are going to work another day. You know what I mean? You are going to get another shot at this. You are continually going to grow. You're continually going to get better. You're going to continue to seek better friends, better avenues. You're going to continue to grow. We all started out where you're at. So continue to take this as an apprenticeship. If you find somebody who's going to take you along with you, who's going to help teach you the ropes, cherish that, because in this market, you do not get that as much as you used to. It used to be standard operating procedure to find a mentor, to find this crew to get into, to find these people that are going to take you and teach you their 20, 30 years of knowledge. And they got 20 or 30 years of knowledge from somebody else who got 20, 30 years of knowledge from them. So literally just take this thing not as, I'm cool, I'm on a film set, this is awesome, this is my dreams. Use that, but then take it to say, I have a responsibility to these millions upon millions of people that are still in the industry, that are still performing, and that will perform far after you are gone. You know what I mean? So don't take that lightly. You know what I mean? You have walked yourself into a craft that has existed for a century and will continue forever, because it is the most purest form of human expression. It is all-encompassing. Yeah. So
because it's collaborative.
Well, it's collaborative.
It has many views in it.
There is not one piece of art
that's
or the human existence that is not involved in film. Yeah. So take that and learn that and become your best human, become your best self. Take your friends and make them their best selves. You know what I mean? Take care of your people. That's really it, man. It's very simple.
It's very well said.
Cory, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining us. This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. It really does mean a lot that you guys are just doing this for, the film community, because I think we need this, you know what I mean? People that really just take their time to learn more, not only about films, but learn about, basically everything that I just said.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much that goes into it. And on the outside, especially because I think at the layman's level, a lot of times we just see writer, director, actor. And that's like, if you want to be in movies, you want to be a writer, I want to be an actor. And how you see that, growing up for me as a young film fan, seeing someone like Quentin Tarantino who, wrote and directed, and you think like it was just that easy. Or an actress that gets to be, on the red carpet and all the fun and everything. But every individual on set goes through hardships just being on set or being away from home while you're, in the hotel waiting for set or whatever it is. But to find the love and the joy and the motivation to continue to grow is, for me, the thing that just keeps that energy rolling. And I think that's important to understand that this is hard work. Yeah. But it's like Cory was saying, the purest form of our art and existence that we have to offer. I mean, film includes music, it includes the rules that painters established several hundreds of years ago.
The art of gardening.
So I often say that I paint with light.
Yeah.
Because we are doing frame by frame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, to drive it home, like every single position on any set, every single person in support, we are all cogs in the gears to the clock of that project.
Yep.
And no one's more important than the other. Maybe some roles carry a little more weight, but you couldn't carry that weight without the person bringing you your water.
Or the knowledge and the learning and being able to go through all the steps beforehand to become that very important person.
Yes.
Well, Cory, again, thank you for coming out. This is your opportunity to boast a little bit.
This microphone.
Anything that you want to enlighten our listeners on, or socials that you want to share?
I think always, I'm going to say this. I did a master class with the ASC and David Mullen. Sorry, I'm going to always mess his name. David Mullen actually gave me his email, and I feel like that was probably one of the most profound things I'd ever like to have. His email. So you can message me at Flint, FLINT, Michigan, like the state, films@gmail.com if you have any questions, and also follow me on Instagram, Cory James Taylor, CORY, James Taylor as the singer. And yeah, man, I hope to hear from you. If you guys have any questions, you know what I mean, just let me know. I'm going to try and get to you guys as much as possible, but yeah, keep learning, keep collaborating, and just keep on keeping on.
Excellent. And before I pass it over to Joe, there was something I was going to ask you because you mentioned it's real quick because I want to know, and me learning through this medium will let them know. You mentioned the ASC and the magazine. How could someone get a hold of that?
So ASC, they're online. So it's the American Society of Cinematographers. They do lots of master classes. You can subscribe to their magazines. They're always doing online things where they're talking about, the shots, people from their group. If you've ever seen like ASC in front of a director of photography, you kind of know it's like a big deal.
Yep.
And so, yeah, just go on their website. It's ASC.com. They're huge about mentorship, which proves that like these guys have been doing it for a while. They understand exactly what this is about. They love teaching people. They love passing on knowledge. There's infinite amounts of books, from AC books to lighting books to...
If you're hungry for knowledge, the community's out there, and they're looking for you too.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, Joe, how can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me by calling Brad's mom. No.
Wow. Ouch. Singed.
I don't even know her number, so that wouldn't work anyway. Instagram, chaotic_artisan, IMDb, Joseph Shelton Quick, same on the Book of Faces, and what this guy's about to tell you.
Yeah, you can find me at Beeford Clark on Instagram. You can follow the show on Facebook at Unorthodox Film Podcast. You just search it in the search box. Or you can go to our website, ufpodcast.podbean.com. We are streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever fine podcast programming is found. And link in the description if you are interested in some of our merch, and that helps support us. And
UFO Bazaar.
You can end up with some pretty cool swag appropriate to our conversation today. We do have our Thank the Crew shirts, which is one of my favorites. And it's just our way of wearing on our body the importance of the roles that not everybody thinks about, and showing support to the entire crew. So you can visit that, visit our websites or purchase our merch. Also, get involved in the conversation. Did we say anything today that you wanted to add on to? Any questions that you want to ask, or any topics that you want us to discuss? Feel free to leave comments on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, or email us. You can reach us at ufostudio.detroit@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will be with you next time.
Peace out.
Bam, 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 bam.